Hello there, friends of Gigantic, and welcome to yet another new video. Now, for a while now, I've been wanting to look at interesting and random builds, I suppose. I've been trying quite a few of them, and well, there's a reason we're looking at Ezren, which we all know is sleeper meta OP as heck. Probably not, but you know, having played a ton of games, I've seen a few Ezren. I played a bit as well, and I feel like, to me, Ezren is like one of those heroes where I need to find that one build to really enjoy playing him, much like I did Voden earlier today. So I probably play more Voden as well. But I want to look at a very specific build for Ezren, and pretty much the only one I run at this point. Now, you know, by default you get some interesting builds here. We have the one, you know, we have a lot of self-healing, decent damage, a ton of AoE and CC. I made my first build here just to try it out, but honestly this is now the one that I stick to. So this build for Ezren is all about scaling really well late game, having, you know, decent sustain, dealing a ton of AoE damage, but also CC a bit. So this build completely relies on being able to steal a ton of souls, so you can basically use them as soon as you possibly can. Now, the left click on Ezren is quite special, as you actually have to aim it. It's not like a beam or anything, so you have to get used to that. But essentially, the more enemies you hit with your left click, your basic attack, the more souls you steal. So, for example, in team fights, you'll be able to steal a ton of souls in no time. If you play against characters like Griselma and you have the hands, you get a ton of souls there, so you can basically build that and quickly use them up. I also have focus gain, because I'm a bit of a sucker for focus gain in builds. So yeah, basic attack, get a ton of souls and focus. Pretty much it. Now, this build comes into the actual right click when you spend souls on, and I go with area damage and slow. Now, not only can you deal a bunch of damage with this if you keep stealing a ton of souls and then basically spending them immediately, it becomes like this like sort of shotgun or like machine gun effect, sort of. Not as good as Mozu, but you know, still you can steal a ton of souls and then just go ham. A lot of fun, and the slow is extremely useful, not only for you obviously, but you know, if you have team fights and you want to make sure, you know, your teammates actually can chase low health enemies. Now it's only 1 second, but I feel like it's worked really well so far. And then with the defensive ability here, I haven't really made a build that is all about healing or leeching and all that. It kind of reminds me of Zenobia in a way, but I think I might try it at some point. I just prefer having move speed and getting the stamina back, because you know, we all know how important stamina is. So it's like, okay, you get move speed by default, but if I have max souls, I also get a ton of stamina. So I try and use it when I have the souls. Sometimes I don't, but I mean, you still get the move speed, right? So, and with that, I use the well souls for exact same thing. I try and steal as many souls as possible. Normally I used to use this on a single target, actually, because it has a delay to it. So I try to, you know, predict where they go, and I try and immobilize like just a single enemy. Mainly, I mean, it's mainly when I see someone on my team fighting someone else, but if possible, definitely save this for a team fight, right? As a massive cooldown, it's like 20 seconds, which is quite nasty, and it doesn't even linger, so you really have to hit it. But what's really cool is that you can steal a ton of souls and obviously heal yourself, but it's the soul gain that's important for this, so you can basically maximize souls and, you know, use them as soon as possible. And then for the focus, I'm a big fan of like immunity and recovery and stuff like that, but there's literally no immunity to actually getting CC'd while you're in your focus, and I like to use my focus a lot, so I've actually opted to go for using more damage. Right? So the basic attack isn't just about stealing souls, it will be able to do a ton more damage, and if I get a kill, I actually buffed my damage even more. It's been quite useful actually from the games I've played. So, and of course the passive here is all about having even more damage reduction. I feel like a lot of players players you face when you play Ezren, they don't really see as a threat, right? And this has let's just say that a lot of I've faced against a lot of enemies that, you know, underestimate the damage you can deal, because you can really nuke them really quickly, and then if you have the slow, they can't really get away. So it's been very useful in many of the games that I have. So yeah, that is the basic build. So I figured we can have a quick look at some footage from one of quite a few games I've actually played with Ezren. So let's go ahead and have a look. Alright, let's have a look at a game in Rush. This is Sanctum Falls. And yeah, this is the build that we just looked at, of course. And what I like to try and do when I play Ezren is be very agile. Now I could hear a trip nearby, so I immediately try and help my aura. And all I'm doing here is making sure I leech as many souls as possible and immediately using them. You can see like the projectiles going out. That's basically as soon as I have a soul, I use it. Unless I think I might need to use my defensive, my Q ability, I make sure that I try to have as many souls as I possibly can. So
maybe I should cancel.
I got the point here and just chasing another Ezren, which is pretty funny. Now this build is not really great for 1 versus 1, just so you know, but yeah, I'm just trying to help out here. I feel like the souls indicator is pretty poor. It's hard to tell. Yeah, I'm using my AoE here to try and deal with this trip, but she stealthed away, so not much I can do about it. I have full souls now, just trying to find a target, and I mean, you can really nuke people down. Like, look at his damage here. Now he's slowed. Make sure to... I like to keep at least one projectile when they're low health, because I want to make sure that I can apply the slow. So even if I can't finish them off, then you know someone on my team could possibly do it, right? So I try to make sure that I can do that. And yeah, other than that, I like to run around a lot on Ezren. You know, make sure that I reposition a lot. Make sure that I can't get poked from various angles and stuff, because I mean, you don't really have a lot of defenses, right? And here I use the slow, right? There's no health left. I mean, you won't be able to escape, but you know, you never know, right? So you know, I might as well use it the same idea, no matter what. So yeah, that is pretty much what we've been talking about, right? I just try to deal a ton of damage. Now, we're not the biggest damage dealer in wounds here, but I make sure to just see I leech a soul and then immediately expend it again. And see there, I actually hit at least 2 targets, so I immediately cap out on souls. So you need to make sure that you don't waste any of the souls that you have. If you cap out and then you use your basic attack, you essentially, you know, you wasted 1 or 2 attacks, or maybe even more. So I got my nice escape here from the wound. Incredible movement speed. I'm trying to help this Andorra here, but yeah, that delay doesn't really help. And I guess she didn't have much stamina left, so I gotta be careful here, right? I can easily get poked down. Even though I have a solid amount of health, you know, I'm just I'm just chilling a bit here. Now I'm using my focus here. I wanted to save it, but I decided to use it here. I'm still gonna die anyway, but your focus is extremely valuable. Like I wouldn't waste it, essentially. And what I mean is I use my focus as a defensive ability, rather. Sometimes I've used it as an offensive kind of thing, if there's a team fight going on and you know a lot of enemies are getting low or are low in health. I could go in and just use my focus, and it has a large radius, so you pretty much guaranteed to deal with them. And here, sadly, Zendora goes down, so I'm just poking away on HK. I mean, I'm not going to win that. I mean, we talked about 1v1, but looks like my team is going in, so I'm just going to keep leeching souls here. You do have quite a decent range, so just keep leeching, keep nuking, and keep slowing. I mean, we've been talking a lot about Ezren, I guess specifically. Like here's a Charnock, for example. He has no idea I can deal a ton of damage and slow him. So there you go. I used Elk with him, right? I literally made him. He could not move. He didn't have an escape or anything. So yeah, a very good example in this case. So yeah, I mean, that is pretty much it. I think I mean, a lot of people talk about Ezra needing a buff. I mean, I guess like a slight buff, sure, but I think if they touch him too much, he's gonna be way too overpowered. And I feel like if you have a build that you enjoy, you can definitely go ham because, like I said, people don't really expect it, right? So yeah, that is pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.